Imagine a person that doesn't leave house for days, doesn't talk in a group of friends, placid, looking a little nervous in the crowd. Yet, a person who is one of the amusing people in the world, a human being that you can talk to for hours. Who is that person? Is it you? Is it your best friend? You have probably heard that you or these kinds of people are called asocial, shy and withdrawn frequently. I think that there are plenty of moments that just not to hear them. You pretend that this is not the case among crowd, yet, dying to run home and be alone with yourself. Then you are one of mine. Let's try and tell about ourselves a little to the folks. But first, let's get some things clear. I used the word asocial in the thumbnail since it is widely used in the society. Actually, this is so wrong. A person preferring loneliness and introvert terms are more fitting. In addition, there is antisocial term which is misused often. Antisociality is a personality disorder, including dangerous features like disregarding one's right, assault, lying, deceiving, impulsivity, failing to think ahead and aggression. Today we are going to talk about introversion, the exact opposite of extroversion. Contrary to popular belief, introverts are not asocial. They generally enjoy being and spending time with other people, and do not have difficulty about it. Yet these people do not mind about loneliness. On the contrary, they prefer loneliness. The times they are the most creative, the most peaceful and the happiest are the times they are alone. They don't get bored even though they stay home for hours, even days. I want to mention some misunderstanding here. Many people get on these people often by asking, don't you get bored all by yourself? Isn't it boring to be idle? Yet it is not the case. For introverts, the times they are alone are the times they are most productive. They make important plans and decisions during those times. And this is not a personal trait. This is a biological coding. Just like extroverts being more productive among group. One of the best-known introverts, Audrey Hepburn, said this: "I'm an introvert. I love being by myself, love being outdoors, love taking a long walk with my dogs and looking at the trees, flowers, the sky." Let's dive into this subject and support it with surveys and introvert scientists. First of all, I think one of the biggest mistakes about this subject is done by psychology. There is a term in psychology called Big Five. According to this term, people are divided as 5 for their personality traits, which are openness, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism and extroversion. So where are we? Where are we among these? Do you know where we are? According to this categorization, introverts are the ones failing to be an extrovert. Meaning a kind of miserable people who cannot manage to be an extrovert. Get out of here. Plus, there are some confusing this with shyness. I will come to that later. Yet the general view is like this. Introversion is regarded as a deficiency. It's not. Let me tell you. First of all, modern world is designed for extroverts. No matter where you go, in the workplace, in the school, on the street. Everywhere. I mean, everywhere. A team spirit, a group work. Activities made with the crew. Conditions for which it is obligatory to be included in the team. Those strange looks, given to the people, who asked if it was okay if they worked alone. Describing the student as weird who sits alone at the back of the class and in fact who is quite happy in their own inner world. Generally those who don't get involved in the group are regarded as abnormal. Not only do they regard, they also intervene. Teacher invites parents to the school. Your child is so smart. All of the grades are good. Yet they don't get involved in group works. Our colleague is so successful, he contributes to the company well. Yet he doesn't have leadership qualification. We wish he showed us all of his abilities. There are a remarkable amount of people who live with yets, who think there is something wrong with them since they hear these categorizations all the time. According to the studies, 1/3 of the world population is introvert. There is a misconception claiming that there is a direct correlation between intelligence and extroversion. That is not the case. And the opposite is not true either. It's not stated that introverts are smarter than extroverts. There isn't any difference between them intelligence-wise. They just identify their abilities differently. But, we can talk about a certain advantage introverts have about 1 point. This kind of people can internalize the knowledge better in any circumstance. They can analyze better in quiet environments, and since they do not expect praise, they can make more rational decisions. Therefore, in fact, it is quite likely that they would make better leaders than the people who is said to have leadership capability. So we can assume that introverts don't need emotional stimulation. They don't have anything to do with the terms glorified as seeking happiness in modern world. Living high off the hog, fame, being loved by everyone. These are not something they are fond of. On the contrary, an empty search of happiness irritates them. For an introvert, there is a more important reality than happiness, which is seeking for meaning. Yet, like I said, these people who are exposed to the modern world regard themselves as ineligible and might develop self-esteem problems. They blame themselves for not being more sparkling. They become the misfits of the society. I mentioned shyness before. Even though they seem quite similar from the outside, they shouldn't be confused. Bernardo Carducci, who is from Indiana University Shyness Research Institute, yes, there is such an institute, defines shyness as, a shy person really wants to socialize with others, but they cannot do it, and feel themselves bad. An introvert prefers loneliness. In a friend gathering, you might see both a shy person and an introvert sitting alone. While shy person is not happy about it, the introvert prefers it. At the same time, an introvert doesn't generally try to hide from other people. They are comfortable among society. Yet if you want to realize an introvert among a group, focus on the people listening and the people generally having a deeper conversation with a particular person. They prefer a calm conversation. They rather think before they talk. That's why, even though it is not impossible, making a speech in front of a group seems difficult to them. Because it seems a little meaningless, there isn't any exchange in these kinds of speeches. In terms of loneliness, we need to state this here, regardless of being introvert or extrovert, we all need some amount of loneliness. The conception that this is a negative thing needs to change. Every human being might need to stay alone sometimes, and we should respect that. Besides, some of the most important art pieces, inventions, discoveries, philosophical thoughts stem from loneliness. For instance, Steve Wozniak, one of the co-founder of Apple Company, is a complete introvert as well. Even though he isn't on the stage and under the spotlights as much as Steve Jobs, he might even has more contribution to the creation of the company. In fact, when I say the world of extroverts, I mean this. When you consider two people doing the same job, we tend to applaud the one who tells the work with a louder voice, who loves the stage. We promote this. We prefer people on the move to people thinking. We don't care for who does a job better but who is louder. And this leads to the loop I've been mentioning from the start. The question introverts ask themselves often: why do I even bother? This is such an important question, and it addresses such an important issue as well. The problem of competence lies beneath this issue. Most of the jobs are not given to the person deserving it. They are given to the most flamboyant, the one talking the most. The one who pretends the best. Not the one doing the job the best. We are talking about a worldwide cultural change here. When the past and the present are compared, it is generally said people were happier, more peaceful, more honest before. The reason is quite obvious. Before the social media craze, generally the most important thing for the society was personality. People's honesty and character were regarded based on their personality, not on their masks. We witnessed a dramatic change in the 21st century. This is a time in which generally stupid people are famous. The time of nonsense, when foolish behaviors, fuss, shining, screaming are popular. A time that all the people turn their heads towards that direction. In a recent study, most of the children living in the West world said they want to be a YouTuber. Not a doctor, engineer, musician or artist. There isn't any dream of changing the world or being beneficial for other people. There isn't even anyone who wants to go to the space. Almost all of the children's dream is to be a YouTuber. It includes introvert children as well. This is the most dangerous side. Children who actually enjoy loneliness, reading, thinking. Children who describe themselves through those things want to repress those features and want be something they are not, and want to adapt a character that is not suitable for them. Because, like I mentioned earlier, if you don't yell, if you are not on the stage, if you are not a complete team player, if you are not loved and applauded by everyone, unfortunately you are the deficient citizens of the modern world. When we realize we don't need to cure this quiet child, we will be able to solve many problems. It is the same for all of us. There isn't any correlation between being a good talker and being intelligent whatsoever. Introversion is not a syndrome that needs to be cured. If you want to spend your spare times alone, there is nothing more normal than this. Never compromise on your precious personality. One of the well-known introverts, Albert Einstein, said, "Be a loner. That gives you time to wonder, to search for the truth. Have holy curiosity. Make your life worth living." So when you embrace this feature of yours, when you are happy with who you are, you can create miracles.